I go, you think she's going to close? And he's like, oh, she'll close.
Wow, I have been waiting for this for a very long time. In Bethany Frankel's latest brutal takedown of Harry and Meghan, and you'll remember Frankel, very good friends with Lauren Sanchez, but also a former star of The Real Housewives of New York, has opened up for the first time about her secret relationship with Meghan's ex-husband, her first husband, Trevor Engelson. And you are not going to believe what Trevor said to Bethenny Frankel about how Meghan was going to snare Harry when they first met. Absolutely fascinating stuff. So I am going to come to that in just one moment because it is truly fascinating insight. But first, I want to show you what Bethenny Frankel has to say about this growing debacle in regards to Meghan and Harry's attendance at Kris Jenner's 70th, and the fact that they then asked for the pictures to be deleted, lying about a consent form. Watch.
So Meghan and Harry don't want the association with the flashy cashy, with the overtly American, and also they're supposed to appear understated, Montecito, muted tones, and this is a different look. Anyone's allowed to take any picture down that they want, and I mean, I can't imagine going to that event and not thinking that somehow your picture would end up somewhere, but they couldn't resist the temptation of going, but also wanted to resist the temptation of showing. And they didn't do anything wrong. It's just been hard to be them because they have been riding between two worlds for a long time, and they just have to land, accept where they land. Don't bite the hand that's now feeding them and lean all the way in. They should be in the first slider pick with Jeff Bezos and the Kardashians. You got to dance with the one who brung you and not the ones who aren't even inviting you to their dance anymore. You're welcome.
Now, what's interesting is, as you know, Bethenny Frankel has been one of the first big American celebrities who was on to Meghan Markle. Right from the start, she really seemed to understand something. But we've never really known why until now. Watch.
We're going to have to talk about the Kris Jenner party, too.
Okay, well, I want to know your thoughts on Meghan and Harry not only being there, but then asking for the photos of them to be deleted.
Okay, that's so funny that you said asking. Was that confirmed? Because
sorry, it wasn't. I just assumed.
Oh, I said it yesterday, too. But the headlines were sort of indicating that somehow Kris, Kim, their group wanted to take them down. Like they quietly took them down as if it was their choice. And I did on my podcast yesterday, which hasn't aired yet. I was like, why is that sort of the tone of the articles? It has to be that
the opposite.
Because they don't want people to feel that they're hobnobbing with the Kardashians. Like
right, but so don't go.
It's just, listen, this has been the number one hot thing I ever did in social media that didn't need to be done for what happened was talk about Meghan the day before her Oprah interview. Mm-hmm. It was said Cry Me a River, and it really just hit sideways. There were 2 brand deals I lost, all of this.
Really?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So crazy.
Because of that, people were scared. Okay, because of she was saying she was suicidal,
mm-hmm.
and because of the talking about the
racism.
Yes.
But that reason why is because she had a personal relationship, maybe even slightly romantic relationship, with Meghan Markle's ex-husband.
I've met a couple of times her ex-husband. I'm sure
Meghan's?
Yes, I met him like personally. We were a while.
Somebody set you up.
We met in the lobby of the Soho House in Chicago and just sort of like flirted and then started talking and then met once in LA. Very briefly, we talked about doing a project. Oh. He said his ex was a woman from a show called Suits. I didn't know what the show was. I didn't know the woman. Months later, I see pictures in Us Weekly of Harry's dating someone, and I text him to be like, is this your ex? And he's like, yup. And I'm like, I go, you think she's going to close? And he's like, oh, she'll close. And I don't want to get into more about that, but he was like, she'll close.
And that's exactly where everything suddenly changes. Because once Bethenny drops that she'll close bomb, the whole story of Meghan and Harry starts looking very different. Now, think about this for a second. Trevor wasn't just some random ex. He was the one who watched Meghan in her early Hollywood years, the auditions, the rejections, the hustle, the networking, the big dreams. He knew exactly how she thought, how she moved, and how she planned her next move long before the world ever heard her name. So when he says, "Oh, she'll close," he wasn't joking. He meant it. And honestly, everything we've seen since then almost proves his point. Because once Meghan sets her sights on something, it's like the GPS in her brain recalculates everything around the target. Every connection, every outfit, every interview, every opportunity, all of it becomes part of the plan. And that's where Bethenny's earlier comment hits even harder. She wasn't just criticizing Meghan. She was basically saying, "I've met this type before. And I know exactly how the game is played." But here's where things get even more interesting. Bethenny, remember, is close friends with Lauren Sanchez, someone who also climbed the ladder of Hollywood power. Someone who went from news anchor to the inner circle of billionaires. So when Bethenny compares Lauren and Meghan and then says, "Lauren Sanchez is Meghan Markle with no rules," that's not an insult. That's a warning shot. Because the truth is, Meghan is constantly trying to live in two worlds at the same time. One world is the polished, humanitarian, soft-spoken Duchess, muted tones, subtle jewelry, polished statements, inspirational speeches. The woman the palace wanted her to be. But the other world? Oh, that's the California fantasy she dreamed of for years. The glamorous parties, the celebrity circles, the photographers, the glitz, the expensive gowns, the podcasts, the Netflix deals, the billionaire neighbors.
Well, and
they're different. They're different now. The vibe is different. The whole mood and shift will now go on to George, Charlotte, and Louis, and they will become really, frankly, bit part players. Now they won't like that, and that's probably what this is all about: making sure they've got a presence, a brand to monetize. Because pretty soon they're going to be really so far removed from the main game that they're not going to be able to get as much money out of being royals.
I think Valentine Lowe wrote that in his book, didn't he? Or I seem to remember Val writing about saying that Harry did have fears that he might, become irrelevant into his 50s. And, they're making a huge noise at the moment.
Yeah.
But he undoubtedly will. He'll be a bald 50-year-old prince, a gentleman, someone formerly known as Prince. That's what he will be. I mean, and that will be not the same as they talk about, he's got an appeal with the younger generation. Well, they'll be thinking, who is this guy? They won't even know who he is. They're 40-year-olds. They're not young. True.
And this video makes it obvious she hasn't figured out how to choose. She wants to blend both worlds together, but the result is chaos. Confusion, mixed messages, and a public that doesn't know who she really is. And honestly, I'm not sure she knows either. Look at the Kris Jenner birthday situation. It was the perfect example. They go to the party, but then allegedly don't want the pictures up. Why go to an A-list event if you don't want A-list consequences? Because Meghan and Harry want the fame. Without looking like they're chasing the fame. They want the spotlight. Without being accused of stepping into the spotlight. They want the attention. But also want the moral high ground. You can't have it both ways forever. Hollywood doesn't work like that. And the royal family definitely doesn't. And the more you look at their pattern, the more the cracks start to show. Even people who used to support them, the Clooneys, the Beckhams, the Obamas, suddenly aren't in the picture anymore. These were powerful connections they had. Connections that could have shaped a very different future for them. Instead, they're drifting. And that's why Bethenny's comment lands so hard. You gotta dance with the one who brought you. In other words, stop pretending you don't want the Hollywood lifestyle when everything you do screams Hollywood lifestyle. But here's where this gets truly dramatic. Because whether Meghan planned it or not, Harry is the one paying the highest price. Every decision, every interview, every docuseries, every fight with the family. It's all pushing him further away from the institution that shaped his entire life. And now? People inside the royal circle say Harry is getting nervous, almost desperate, because he knows what's coming. The world is moving on. New generations are rising. Prince George is already stepping into public duties. Princess Charlotte steals headlines with her poise. The spotlight is shifting slowly but permanently away from Harry. And as one royal insider said recently, Harry fears becoming irrelevant by 50. A bald, aging ex-royal. With fewer connections every year. And a brand that relies completely on controversy, drama, and the past. And that's the tragic part. Because love it or hate it, Harry wasn't supposed to end up like this. He was the fun one, the adventurous one, the soldier, the brother, the spare who always had the freedom to choose his own path. But now? He's stuck between worlds, just like Meghan. Not royal enough for the royals. Not Hollywood enough for Hollywood. Not influential enough for the elites. Not relatable enough for the everyday crowd. A man who left one palace, only to end up in another, invisible one built from expectations, pressure, and the constant need to keep the spotlight alive. So yeah. Trevor's old comment "she'll close" hits different now. Because what Meghan closed wasn't just a relationship. It was a door. A chapter. A destiny. For both of them. And as we move forward in this story, the question isn't whether Meghan closed. She did. The real question now is, what happens when the deal she closed stops paying off? And trust me, the signs are already there.